Hi, and welcome to another episode of Kuntarkis. My name is Michael Yon, and this episode is Mann The Elemental. Mann was mentioned in our previous episode, I think it was about 2 or 3 episodes ago, called Understanding the Light, and the story is amazing. It's a Mesopotamian dude, a prince in fact, and what happened to him. So yeah, stay tuned for Mann The Elemental.
And the other elements also, there was a few other elements. They came inside his little house that he created out of rock and all that type of stuff. And his body was totally desiccated. His clothes were still there. He was literally had his head on the little old table that was built out of a tree, and his arm on the table, and he literally died there. And he had been like that probably for many years, probably 5-10 years.
Meaning that he did die of old age, yeah.
He died of old age.
Yeah.
They came and they tapped his bones, and suddenly he became alive, as if he was alive. And he asked, he said, "What are you?" He said, "We are the elements from the fourth dimension. We have come for you. You have been invited into our world." This is exactly what basically was being said. And he said, "I've always believed in you. I have looked for you in the forest, in the deep jungle, but I have seen you, but I have never been able to capture you. Not like capture, but be
like
close."
A photo, capture like a photo,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they said, "Well, we are here now. Would you like to come with us?" And he said, "Oh, yes." So he stood up. And as he was walking out of a broken door that was nearly falling off, rotted away, he said, "I must bring my book. I wrote all my life." And they said, it doesn't matter. You don't need it." They were trying to help him, protect him. And he went to grab it, and his hands went straight through it. It was all dust. All the sheets were just dust.
And when you say they were trying to protect him, it was from his fear of the fact that what he might look like, and the fact that he isn't as alive as he thinks he is.
That's right. And he turned to them, and he looked at himself, and he said, "Am I a spirit?" And Jaka looked and smiled at him and said, "Yes, you are. Come with us." And they walked. And I remember when they showed me the vision, Jaka showed me the vision. On one side was Raspin, and he was hanging off his arm, and on the other side was a taller one holding his arm, and they went through a energy field like an open door, and they just disappeared. And he became eventually an elf. An elf.
Which is an honourable position, isn't it? Elf is very high up.
Yeah, he's very high up. And he was given that because for all those years, mate, because he was gone for 26,000 years. You know, that was when the Mesopotamians were here. And all those years had passed. And, you know, people would not even be able to reflect that it was 26,000 years ago. You know, and he was basically a prince, but he was forfeited that position because of his deformities. His father could not accept it, that the king would have a deformed child. So he went into the spirit world of the element kingdom, and he became not only a learner, but he eventually became a teacher. And one day, when he walked out of his little bungalow, he saw hundreds and hundreds of elements all standing there quietly. And suddenly, they all put their hands up and started cheering. And he couldn't work out why. And little Raspin came up to him and said, "We are honoring you." And he said, "Why?" He said, "You have transformed yourself." He said, "I do not understand." And he said, "Look at your hands." And he put both his hands in front of him, and they were thin with very long fingers. And he looked at his palms, and they were not palms, sorry, his forearm, and it was really thin, no muscle structure. And he said, "What has become of me?" He said, "You are an elf, a position of love." and he looked in a mirror of the water. The water came up and became a mirror. And he looked into the water, which was a mirror. And he saw himself. His whole head had shrunken in and gone out. Everything changed. And he became an elf. And he was given a position of high authority. And that was one of the greatest honors. And he stood there, and tears just ran from his eyes. And every one of those little creatures from the element kingdom came running up, and they were swarming all around him. And he was just giving everyone a cuddle, and it was just incredible. It would have been an incredible sight to actually be there and see. And now he travels everywhere. He travels within the entire kingdom. And he's basically like a leader. Yeah, a leader, not just a teacher. So it was a very interesting story where he came from being a deformed human, living his life in a jungle, scared that he could die any moment with these tigers, because they were like at least 2.5 times the size of what they are today. Massive. They ripped his roof off one time. By the way, I'll just let you know that they ripped his roof off one time, and he just got out the door as they jumped in. And they were so big, they found it so hard to get out the door. And he literally, and he literally ran and ran and ran, and he literally jumped over a cliff where he had these special ropes all set up, and he could lower himself down, and there was a cave there, and that's where he ended up living. And when they got to the edge, he looked up and he could see them growling at him, but there was no way they could get to him. So he had a very interesting existence in those last years of his life.
Wow. What would his first memory be of meeting the one and only Kuntarkis?
Oh, he's like a brother to me. He's my brother in all ways. Yes.
So,
and he knows me. Yeah. He if I ask him to come, he will come. He was here 3.5 weeks ago. He actually came to take JC out, and so was Raspin and Jaka. Those three are very close to him because of what JC was within the spirit world as Chipper.
Yes.
And it was a very special moment, and he came into the lounge room, and that was the night that Michelle was away overnight working the next day. And I was sitting on the lounge talking in Sanskrit. And then he suddenly appeared, and I spoke to him in Sanskrit.
Wow. Can I ask?
Interesting.
Yeah. Can I ask again, Kuntarkis?
Yeah, go.
Yeah. When did the two of you first really meet?
Oh, look, my friend.
I mean, not in the past lives, but like, I guess, like for him and that story that you mentioned, because like you did mention it in the past.
Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned
it was many human years ago, mate. But it have to be at least 30 years. I could be wrong here and there.
Yeah,
that memory is very hard.
No, Kuntarkis. That's great. Can I ask again, when he left his books that disintegrated?
Yes.
And last time when you mentioned this story and understanding the light, I think you mentioned that it might have been you. Was that the one that said, look to your side and you will see what you see? Was it you, or like when in that story did he first come to know you as Kuntarkis?
Oh, well, how it actually really happened, as I said, many human years ago, I was in spirit world in the time of the Mesopotamians. I was there. I literally appeared. And I was sitting on a rock in a trail wondering, what the hell am I doing here? And I saw this tiger run right past me. And I said, oh, that was a big one. He never even knew I was there. And I sat there for quite a while. Then suddenly behind me, there was a tap on my shoulder. And I turned around, and there he was, Mann. and I spoke with him, and I talked to him many, many times after that, and I helped him overcome his disabilities. Because if he didn't, he would have perished, because he was physical when I first met him.
You're kidding me.
No,
You met him
serious.
physically.
Physically,
Wow.
26,000 years ago.
How tall were you, so to speak? As
I
in,
would have
like, were
been
you Nakaron? Were you...
No, I was actually a human.
And you just rocked up out of nowhere
I
as
just
a
rocked
human?
up.
Yes.
And I think I rocked up as a human because he would not have understood seeing this 7'4" man standing in front of him built like a toilet. Right?
People know what
So
you mean.
yeah. And I worked with him for a very long time, and I realized that I was sent there for a reason, because his future depended that he heals himself from his, what they call them?
Inbredness?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose that's a good enough word, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it took me probably, oh, Jesus, it's got to be at least 5 months physically, over a 5-month period of human time, to actually get him to let go of all his defaults, like his shoulder, his eye, bringing his eye back up, getting his shoulders to stand up straight, because he had this, he looked like the, from Nostradamus.
Notre Dame, yeah, Notre Dame, Hunchback of Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he looked like. So I had to fix all that up, and we did. And he was very, very grateful that he could actually run. He couldn't run. He kept falling over his own feet because his right foot was bent inwardly. His left wasn't. And every time he tried to run, he'd fall over. So he would not have survived the tigers. So I helped him overcome that physically, mate. So I knew him 26,000 years ago.
Not to mention potentially past lives also, maybe?
That's right.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. Never went into that.
I appreciate you clarifying that for myself and whoever's listening, Kuntarkis. I really do.
I have so much heart love for that being, because he has, how would you say, he's come so far in his own evolution, because he wanted to change, but he thought he could never, ever outgrow his conflicts of being deformed. And I promised him that if he listens to me and follows my guidance, he will walk just like I walked. He will run just like I run. And he did. And I said he will climb trees just like I could climb trees. And I even showed him, by the way, how to climb trees, how to run up big palm trees.
You inspired him.
I inspired him.
You inspired him.
Yep, and that's why we became basically brothers. I even showed him how to regrow his stumpy finger. And he believed so much that it was when he woke up after many, many months, his finger had grown. And that's what inspired him to go beyond what he was. But then I left him for a very long period of time because I was told to. And he had to outfight the tigers, and he did. He had the most fastest body, mate. He ate the best foods. He let go of all the pain of his emperor father and his mother and all that. He let go of everything. And he let go of all the emotions that had built up in him over those years, that they didn't want him because he was deformed. We become so conditioned to what we are told to understand.
This concludes another episode of Kuntarkis. If you'd like to find out more about Kuntarkis, the best way is to just email us at kuntarkis@gmail.com. Just send anything to us. You can find etcconsciousness.com is one of Kuntarkis' websites. He has several books and there's much more to find out about him. But if you're curious, just send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. That's it for now. My name is Michael Yon. Thanks so much for listening, and stay tuned for more.